It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Since about mid-October. Good morning. I'm the Reverend Jeff Frank. I see some new faces. I know most of you know who I am, but I welcome you, a warm welcome on this cold day to St. Paul's Universalist Church. In the way of announcements, I think it was already announced, but there will be a brief meeting of the Board of Trustees here in the sanctuary right after the service. It shouldn't take too long, but I would like to meet with you here in the sanctuary. From our return from beyond the grave, Julie Smith. Happy to have Julie among us. Back with us. Yes. After some touch and go health issues there. Anyway, Julie would like me to remind you, there's a sign-up sheet for poinsettias in memory or in honor of those who have passed, or those with us that you wish to honor, in the back of the church that we'll have for our Christmas Eve service. Every time I see that word, some of you will remember the late Johnny Carson. I remember he did a whole thing, like, is it poinsettias or poinsettias? Ed McMahon just laughed. But anyway. Our Christmas craft fair, including celebrity gift wrapping services, will be held here at the Fellowship Hall on December 13th. At what time, Liz?
9 to 3.
9 to 3. All right. So come and get some crafts, support local businesses, and have Marty wrap your packages better than I will ever be able to do. Are there any other announcements that anyone wish? Oh, Liz, you have an announcement.
Yes, for the craft fair. Even if you can only help for an hour or so, please come and help. I don't know if there's a sign-up sheet because I've been a little absent, but if there is, please help even for a little while. We just need someone for like the bake sale or to do the basket raffle tickets. It's nothing too crazy.
And we also need someone in the kitchen.
That too, yeah.
Yes. And please bring baked stuff and any kind of knickknacks or anything you don't want that maybe some little children can buy.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
have a table for that.
And we have a box of those?
Or a basket, please, because we're doing local businesses, but if we can also make some business, baskets, the more we have, the more people are gonna put money in, the more we're gonna get for the church.
Gotcha. Thank you to all who have put time and effort into coordinating that. I very much appreciate it. Any other announcements that anyone wishes to share? All right, hearing none, let us proceed to our musical call to worship. Dickens. He said, "Reflect upon your present blessings, of which every man has so many, not on your past misfortunes, of which all men have some." Men, women, men, women. He was a product of his time. In any case, I welcome you to our Sunday service, our opportunity to come together on our shared spiritual journeys. There's a Hindu proverb that reminds us that there are many, many paths up the mountain. The only one who isn't getting it right is the guy running around the base of the mountain telling the people your path is the wrong way. Today we'll be talking about gratitude, a timely topic given our collective feast day here on Thursday. As is our custom, we open all of our services with the lighting of our chalice. join me in these responsive words. As the kindling chalice calls us to community,
Let there be light.
as the flame of this chalice reminds us of our values,
Let there be light.
as the glow of this chalice encourages us to hope,
Let there be light.
let there be light. And our opening song is number 68, the Great Hymnal. Remain standing and join me in the words of affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another and with our God.
Waiting for the harvest and the time of reaping.
We are now at the time of the service for sharing joys, sorrows, and concerns, but I have a quick question. Mark, what is a sheave? The weed, a bundle of weed. Okay, that's what I thought. Interesting. I have a candle of sorrow. Mark Twain, one of my favorite quotes, said that if a man loves cats, he is my friend and comrade without further introduction. Pets are family at our house, and last Sunday, one of our youngest, who seemed very healthy, he's only 4 years old, basically just was coming for a treat and dropped dead. So this is for Reggie, sweet little guy.
This is for my sister Lynn. She's been doing really well. She had a PET scan last week. There's a little teeny tiny spot that hasn't changed. It's still up here someplace and it hasn't changed. So it's all good news and she's feeling better and she's doing as good as she can do and I'm just thankful.
Our daughter Tricia is about one semester away from becoming a full-fledged RN, and she started her clinicals yesterday, and she said, yay, it's all happening. So she's very happy starting her clinicals. So good luck to her.
This one's for Joy. I'm just really glad to be back and see everybody. And I started my new job over at Liberty ARC. I really like it. I love my house. My staff's really great. My management's great. The individuals are great. So I think it's going to be a really great fit this time.
Jeff, would you like one for me?
Sure.
I just want to thank everyone for their calls, their text messages, and their cards for all of that wishes.
Welcome back, Julie. Boy, Marty, you weren't kidding about this wick. So I keep blowing it out instead of like sheathing it. We light a final candle. My birthday's in a couple weeks, so I'm practicing. We light a final candle for any joys, sorrows, or concerns that go unspoken but remain in our hearts and minds. I'd like to invite you to join me in a time of prayerful meditation. These are words written by Becky Edmiston Lang. Spirit within all, mysterious force giving shape to life, miraculous source and river of being. Help us to know who we are, to see our place in the history of the earth and in the family of things. Help us to see that we are all part of all that ever was. Our grandmother's prayers and our grandfather's dreamings, our mother's courage and our father's hope. In our bones lies the calcium of antediluvian creatures. In our veins courses the water of seas. We are part of all that ever was, born of this earth, riders upon a cosmic ocean. We are not separate from nature, we are nature. Part of that same spirit that turns scales into feathers and birdsong into speech. We live by the sun, we move by the stars. We eat from the earth, we drink from the rain. O Great Spirit, help us know who we are, and fill us with such love for this holy creation and gratitude for this awesome gift we call living, that we might claim our inheritance and live out our calling to bless the world and each other with our care. Amen. And let us now share a moment of silence where we listen to the wisdom of our hearts and minds. And let us now give and receive the morning offering to support the work, the wonder, and the witness of this community. Please join me in responsive reading number 512 in the back of the hymnal. We give thanks this day for the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations.
We give thanks this day.
For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons.
We give thanks this day.
For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements.
We give thanks this day.
For our human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression.
We give thanks this day.
For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared.
We give thanks this day.
For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom.
We give thanks this day.
For human liberty and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose,
We give thanks to say, we pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds.
Our next song is number 21.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from earth over and around the skies, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of here and now, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
What do Unitarian Universalists believe? The simplest answer is that we are free to believe whatever we want to. But that answer is neither complete nor especially meaningful. It would be like someone asking us where we live and replying, I can live wherever I want to. So let's try again. As Unitarians, generally speaking, we believe in the oneness of God, however we define God. And if you ask every single person in this congregation, you would probably get a slightly different answer, or maybe a radically different answer of the nature of God. And Unitarians believe that all names for God point toward the same mystery. As the Hindu proverb I opened with suggests, there are many paths up the mountain, some of them represented along the back wall of the sanctuary on those plaques. Or as Jesus says in the Gospel of John, in my Father's house are many mansions. One house, many mansions. Likewise, as Universalists, we believe that all creation shares the same destiny. Traditional Universalism holds that no one, not a single person, is beyond the love of God. That description certainly sounds more sophisticated than we can believe whatever we want. But even so, it's one thing to try to put it to words. How do you put it into practice? Because as Unitarian Universalists, there is no practice of faith that defines us as a religion. We have no dogma or creed that we require people to subscribe to in order to be members of our churches or societies. In contrast, a faithful Jew obeys the commands of God as written in the Torah. A faithful Christian practices loving God and loving one's neighbors as themselves. A faithful Buddhist practices meditation and compassion, while a faithful Muslim practices submission to the will of God or Allah. We are free to take snippets and lessons from all of those faiths. But again, we don't insist that you must believe this and not believe that. So what does a faithful Unitarian Universalist look like? What do we practice? The Reverend Galen Gumbridge of All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church in New York City, and he's still there. I thought he had passed, but I looked last night. He's still there, been there for many years, has proposed that the defining practice of our faith should be gratitude. Why gratitude? Gumbridge suggests that there are two aspects of gratitude that make it appropriate as our primary religious practice. One is the discipline of gratitude, and the other is the ethic of gratitude. Well, what does that mean? The discipline of gratitude reminds us how completely dependent we are on the people and the world around us for everything that matters. Think about the people we depend upon to support us, encourage us, challenge us, and love us. Arms that hug us, shoulders to cry on, smiles to brighten our days. It could be argued that we are defined by the important relationships in our lives. For example, speaking for myself, I'm the only person that I can claim to be an expert on most days. I'm standing here in front of you, on this theme of relations, in part because my mom rushed into her first marriage in order to escape a dysfunctional home life. And as I got older, my need to understand that dysfunction was part of the reason I became a psychologist. My stepfather's fondness for his grandparents' home out in Cortland influenced my decision to attend college there, where I met my wife. Another important relationship. My exposure to dynamic ministers in my church youth group and later at the summer camp I attended instilled a desire to know more about religion, which in turn led to me studying world religions, which is why I'm standing here in front of you. My relationship with many of you over the years has helped lead me to this ministry. And all of these experiences and many others make me who I am. Not in the way that a potter shapes a bowl per se, more like the way that flour and butter and eggs and sugar go together to make a cake. If you continue that analogy, if you, David could tell us as our resident baker, if you were to not have one of those things in the mix, the cake would not really be a cake. It wouldn't certainly taste good. The same sort of thing, the influence and the cascade of relationships over your lifetimes make you who you are and have shaped who you are to this very day. Because nothing and no one exists in isolation. Our universe is not one of independence, but rather its opposite, utter dependence. Everything that exists is made up of fundamental parts that are borrowed from, shared with, and related to others outside of it. As human beings, we are dependent upon the parents who conceived us, the plants and animals who daily give their lives for our nourishment, the trees that reverse our cycle of taking in oxygen and giving off carbon dioxide, the sun that warms the atmosphere and lights our path. In every respect, we are connected and dependent on all of these things and on one another. Our tendency, of course, is to assume that the opposite is true. We see ourselves as self-reliant and self-sufficient. I think as Americans, we have this deep-seated belief in the freedom of the individual. It drives our democracy, where we like to think that we each have a voice. It drives our economy. We talk about the free market, and there is no better time to see examples of this than the time before us. Freedom of religious determination was the driving force behind the Pilgrims and the Puritans that came to this country, our Protestant forebearers. And yet, the great danger, or perhaps the great temptation, is to disregard and set aside our complete dependence on the people and the world around us. It is to fall into the trap of thinking that our purpose and our lives are largely independent of others. And so practicing the discipline of gratitude helps to keep us grounded. Being thankful for the people and things that sustain us helps us to remember who we are. It also helps us to remember our obligation to others. We're not just dependent on others, they're dependent on us. It's a mutual network. And this is where that second aspect of gratitude that Reverend Gungridge talks about, the ethic of gratitude, comes into play. You may have heard the expression, pay it forward, right? Most common example is, you're in line at Dunkin' Donuts, and they already know the order of the person behind you, and you pay for it so that when they get there, it's all paid for. Hopefully encouraging, but not demanding that they do something similar to someone else. And that is a simple example, but a good example of the heart of the ethic of gratitude. Because you come to realize that you are part of an interdependent web of life. Just as we have been served by the people and world around us, we in turn are called to serve others. Our friends, our family, our neighbors, even strangers, and also the larger world, to be stewards of our planet for those who will come after us. The ethic of gratitude demands that we nurture the world that nurtures us in return. And I, as a side note, am concerned because just in the last couple days, we really are falling short of the promises we made to one another in the climate accords. In the meantime, scientists tell us we are going in the wrong direction. And this saying from the indigenous peoples tradition comes to mind. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, but rather borrow it from our children. So, if I were to sum it all up, I guess you could say that the discipline of gratitude connects the present with the past, while the ethic of gratitude connects the present with the future. What does the practice of gratitude look like for a Unitarian Universalist? Well, remembering and being thankful for the fact that we are all connected to our world and to others. That while we seem separate, we are actually part of a larger whole. That's very Unitarian. It reminds us that we are all children of God, however we choose to think of God. And I think that gratitude is also one of the pillars of universalism, perhaps even more so. Because traditional universalism held that God is so loving that he or she or it never forsakes any of God's children. The Judeo-Christian scriptures, and I could pull other scriptures, but that's the one that we tend to be most familiar with in our society. They're filled with numerous examples of this sort of scenario. The heroes and prophets of the Old Testament, and the disciples and leaders of the New Testament. By and large, we're all flawed individuals, just as we are. Some of them were deeply flawed. And yet, the story that pervades those scriptures is that God proved to be faithful, merciful, and loving in spite of their flaws. That's the radical message of universalism. And it's something I think that was very radical, 120, 150 years ago, and kind of gotten away from it. But it helps to remember that, not like, well, we were the first, but we were. The notion of universalism is that God loves everyone. And that we, in turn, because of that, are called to show that same love to others. Not because we're afraid of going to hell if we don't, but rather out of gratitude, out of thankfulness that we are loved. Because we are loved, we are called to love others. So we love out of gratitude and love, not out of fear. So, as we sit down at the Thanksgiving table later this week, I challenge you to count your blessings. That's not always easy. It's not always encouraged in our society, no matter how much lip service we give to it. Our whole society is like, again, Christmas is like about to bust the dam, right? And it's like, you need this. Your life would be better if you had this thing or that thing. Don't you love your family enough to give them that or this, right? That thing that probably a year from now they won't even remember what it was you gave them. So I think it's sometimes too easy to take all that's good in our lives for granted. I know it's something that I tend to do. I tend to think, well, the good things are there. It's established. I want to focus on what's not going right because I need that fixed. I need that changed. I don't like it. It makes me grumpy. But if you are actively practicing counting your blessings, you will find that your spirits are lifted and that your overall outlook is more positive. And that's not just a spiritual suggestion. There's some science to suggest that that really is the case on a psychological level. You will see the world with new eyes. And I'm also going to encourage you to try to get even with others. Not those who have wronged you, but those who have done right by you. Get even with those who have done right by you. Do right by them. Do right by others. Be a model of that for others. They always say to try to keep Christmas in your heart. And that's a tall order. When it's 85 in the middle of July, I don't really think about Christmas, right? But I'd like to think that it's a lot easier to perhaps keep Thanksgiving and the overall notion of gratitude in your heart the whole year through. May it be so. Our closing song is number 67.
We sing out together.
service with the words of Eric Williams. Blessed is the path on which you travel. Blessed is the body that carries you upon it. Blessed is your heart that has heard the call. Blessed is your mind that discerns the way. Blessed is the gift that you will receive by going. Truly blessed is the gift that you will become on the journey. And so may you go forth in peace. And please join me in the words. The flame is gone from sight, yet it still burns within. When shadows grow long, may we light a flame rather than curse the darkness, becoming bearers of comfort, of kindness, of hope.